Magandang umaga. Hey, I can't hear you. Magandang umaga. Good. Good morning, everyone. My name is Takuya, Homma. I work for a company called Quipper. And today I have to start my presentation with an apology. I'm not going to talk about Quipper School and its technology behind, because at the last minute I found the topic to be a little bit, how can I put it, boring. So I'm going to change the topic, and the title of today's topic is Let's Work on Things That Matter. And I'm going to give you only two topics to talk about. One is Edtech 101. So Edtech is a very interesting field in the IT, and I think most of you are quite curious about what's happening. So I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the Edtech industry. And the next topic is WOTTM, which is abbreviation for Work on Things That Matter. So only two topics. Please stay focused. Don't fall asleep. Right, so before I go on to the interesting topics, I'm going to just get the boring part out of the way about myself. So as you can probably tell, I'm Japanese. I was born in Japan, and I was educated in London, United Kingdom. And I regard myself as a global trotter. I've been to quite a lot of countries, including United States, most of the European countries, and quite a lot of Asian countries, including China, India, and of course the Philippines, and many African countries as well. And going to these countries gives us a very different perspective. You know, people from different countries have completely different perspectives. Even though the world is getting flatter, there are still many differences, and this is something that I have learned by going to visiting many different countries. And I am a very Edtech evangelist, so I'm very passionate about education. My mother is a teacher, and I've been always interested in education. And when I was a student in London, I helped a senior professor from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, write a book about open education, which was one of the most interesting movements happening on the internet plus education area. And it's still very important. So I'm very proud to be a part of this exciting movement, education technology. And as I was introduced, I'm marketing director of Quipper. So this is about myself. And then about Quipper. Quipper is a London-based education edtech startup. And so far, we've been around for 3.5 years, and we've got nearly 10 million users from all over the world, from the US, UK, Asian countries. And we have offices, we have 60 plus staff, and we have offices in London, Tokyo, and Manila. They are in Makati, it's not far from here. So if you have a chance to come to visit London, please come to our office, or Tokyo as well. And we're looking for bright developers like you. So if you're interested in joining us in the future, please get in touch with us. We have a booth just out of the entrance, so please come to visit us and say hi. And our corporate motto is distributors of wisdom. So we believe that education should be available to anyone from any part of the world. And we believe technologies can change the current status and improve education significantly. And we are very passionate about making changes to the education. And also, as you can see, we are very passionate about football. We are very, very strong. So if you want to beat us, play with us. I think I saw there's a football table in the smart booth. So come play with us. So that's about Quipper. And then about Quipper School, which is our flagship product. Quipper School is an online homework program which is aligned to the K-12 curriculum. And so teachers can give assignments to the students online, and students can receive the assignment online and do the work wherever they are, anytime they want. And then teachers can receive get the result and then give feedback to the students. And so far, we've got over 20,000 teachers registered, and also more than 100,000 students registered just in the Philippines. in just half a year or so. So we're very happy about the progress we are making in the Philippines. And also we have official partnership with several divisional department of education, including Quezon City and Pasay City, which is, I think, this conventional center is based in. And not only in the Philippines, but Quipper School is available in many other countries as well, including Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Russia, Turkey, and many other parts of the world. And we are expanding really quickly into different areas. And so we have a booth, as I said, just outside. So come see our demo if you are interested. Right, and these are our students coming from Indonesia and Philippines, using tablets, using laptops. And some of them are going to the internet cafe, PC shops to study, do their homework. And we are very happy to see their happy faces doing the homework online. Many students are very happy to be able to do the work digitally, which was something that we could not really think about when we were young. So that's about Quipper School and myself and Crippa. So the introduction is over. So let's get to the interesting part. So the topic is Edtech 101. So I'm going to have to start with this question. What is Edtech? Anyone with any idea about what Edtech is? Gentleman over there? Okay. All right, I have an answer. This is Edtech. Edtech is resources and system and everything, and Edtech can be divided into 4 quadrants and growing really quickly. No, it's not what Edtech is. So most of the Edtech explanations are quite complicated, and I would like to simplify what Edtech is for you, because I believe what Steve Jobs said. That's been one of my mantras, focus on simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. So we have to simplify in order to properly understand the essence of the things. So I worked very hard to break Edtech into only 3 most important trends. And this is it. 1 is access, 2, data, and 3, community. So there are only 3 things that I want you to take away from this presentation. So please remember, 1, access, 2, data, 3, community. Okay, I'm going to start with access. So access can be, what do you mean by access? Access, number 1, is improvement of infrastructure. So as you can see, mobile technology, mobile network is growing really, really quickly. So in the past, only a few people can access to the mobile internet or mobile phone even. But now people from Africa, people from South American countries, people from developed countries, almost anyone can access to the internet thanks to the mobile networking technology, 3G connection and 4G connection. And the estimate is it's going to grow even further and faster in the next 5 years, 10 years. So I believe that in next 5 years, 10 years, almost everyone on the planet is going to be able to access to the internet from their mobile devices. And on the on the right-hand side, internet-connected devices. So again, not only the internet, but the internet-connected devices are becoming more and more prevalent. So personal computers, laptops, smartphones, tablets. Who has a smartphone here? Please raise your hand if you have a smartphone. So yeah, how about tablet? Who wants to get a tablet? Okay. Right, so I can see quite a lot of you already have a smartphone, tablet, and these devices are going to get cheaper and cheaper in the future, and almost everyone's going to have access to these devices. So mobile network and internet-connected devices combined will give almost anyone on the planet access to a great content, educational content on the internet. So that's what I mean by improvement of infrastructure. But infrastructure itself is not enough. So what's even more important is access to best content. So this Professor Sandel from Harvard University is providing his lectures for free on the internet to anyone who has access to the internet. And it's amazing. I couldn't imagine when I was a kid that I would be able to access to the best lecturers from the best university in the world for free. So this is what's happening. Not only him, but many other professors from the best top universities are providing their lectures for free to anyone who is interested in learning. And also, such things like Wikipedia, you can learn pretty much about anything, using Wikipedia. It's one of my favorite websites. You can spend 24 hours on Wikipedia reading stuff. And also, using devices like Kindle, maybe in the future you'll be able to access almost all the books available on the planet on digital devices. So this is the things that are happening on the internet now, availability of best content. So the improvement of infrastructure and the availability of best content combined, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen is now billions of people can access the best learning content instantly. So this is a massive change that is happening in the Edtech industry. And this is very, very significant. People from all over the world can tap onto this amazing revolution happening in this Edtech. And I'm very happy to be a part of this revolution taking place now. Okay, so that's about the access. And the second thing is data. Has any of you heard of a term called big data? Big data is, so big data is another kind of jargon which is being talked about quite frequently on the internet. So big data means to be able to get some useful information or useful and actionable information by crunching a massive, humongous amount of data. I'm going to give you some examples. One is Google. So if you type in some keywords, then Google is going to give you the suggestions that you wouldn't even think about. So if you look at this, I put why are Japanese? And the first answer was why are Japanese weird? Which I don't really think is too accurate. But anyway, Google is collecting a lot of data from your search actions and then coming up with the right answers to provide to you or provide to the one who is now searching. So everyone gets different answers. So if you type in why are Japanese, you might get a completely different answer because it's optimized for you. And this is possible because of the big data. And also Amazon recommendation. I think most of you have already experienced purchasing a book on Amazon. And if you buy a book on Amazon, then there's automatic recommendation saying, okay, you have purchased this book. Next, you should get this book and get this book and get this book, which is very, very accurate. So I always buy a book, which I didn't really imagine that I would buy a book. I would buy because the Amazon's recommendations are very, very accurate. Again, Amazon is collecting a lot of data from you, your purchase histories and other people's purchase histories and the correlations between the two books or two goods, and then giving you the right answer. So that's another example of big data. And the last example is IBM Smarter Planet, which is slightly different. IBM is collecting a lot of data from cities like traffic lights or traffic itself and electricity usage, and then kind of optimizing the usage of electricity and traffic. For example, in Copenhagen, Denmark, IBM has successfully reduced the traffic jam by 30% by modifying the timing of the traffic light only slightly. So this is the power of big data and very, very hot area that some of you might be interested in already. And the next question is, what is big data for education? What is big data? What does it mean? Again, there are many, many things happening in the Edtech and big data, but I want to just focus on break down into two things. One is learning competency, which is basically what you know and what you learn. And the second part is ability to learn, which is how you know and how you learn. So big data is playing a very, very important role in these two areas of education. So I'm going to start with learning competency. It's getting a little bit technical, so don't fall asleep. The first part of learning competency is called adaptive learning. And there's a company called Newton, based in New York, which is collecting a lot of learning data from tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of students, and providing a topic recommendation. It's very similar to what Amazon is doing with books. So you understand this topic, therefore it's likely that you will understand this topic. Or you didn't understand this topic, it might be because you didn't understand this topic, and then the topic that you should be learning is going to be automatically provided by the company. So this is adaptive learning. So you don't really need teachers. The computer is going to give you the ideas as to what you have to learn next, and what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. And based on your strengths and weaknesses, you will get different topics and keep on learning. This is what's happening in adaptive learning. And the more data it becomes available to the company, then the more accurate the recommendation is going to become. And maybe in the future, it's going to be very significant. You don't really have to have personal tutors. And number two is called efficacy, which is spearheaded by a company called Pearson, which is the biggest education company in the world, based in the UK, London. And there's one truth for education. Most education companies don't really know the impact of their educational materials. So they are saying, okay, do this, study with this books, study with this material, study with this video, but they don't know what's going to happen after they actually do the work. So the input and output of education has not been too clear for the education companies because they didn't have any means of getting the data from the students. There are only a few opportunities where they can get the data, the national exams and periodical exams. That's the only way that they could get the data. But now it's changing. The input and output of education is becoming more and more easy. So it's the basics of computer science. You input something, and there's going to be some output. And this has been neglected for years in the education, but it's now changing. So what Pearson is trying to do with this efficacy initiative is to make it clear that after this input, this output is expected, and every data is being tracked. So our work is going to be becoming more and more efficient. And that's a very significant change taking place around the big data in education. So with this, we're going to be able to learn more efficiently, more effectively, and we can become smarter with less effort. This is our goal with big data in education. But what's more important is the ability to learn. So I think most of you can tell, the more you study, the more smarter you become. This is the natural, this is quite natural. But there are so many distractions that prohibit you from studying. So there are many games, there are many social networks. I think most of you spend probably 2 or 3 hours a day on Facebook interacting with your friends. Do you know why we do this? It's because games and social networks are very, very addictive. People spend so much time because it's fun, it's entertaining, and you can interact with your friends, which is kind of makes you feel safe and at home. That's why many of you spend so much time on social networking and games. And what's happening is we are trying to bring games and social aspects, elements into education. It's called gamification of education or social learning. We are trying to bring these elements into education, and it's working extremely well. All around the world, there are so many initiatives happening in this area as well. And I'm going to just give you one example. By having coins after you answer a question, the retention rate of the students, so the students study longer compared to the one without coins by 30%. Just giving coins after you answer a question correctly. That shows how effective this game feature is. And also, social networking. There are so many people working on this area of social learning. And then if you put a timeline on the learning product, then everyone studies like 20–30% more than usual. So this is game and social. And adaptive learning also is a very interesting area. This is about the behavior. So everyone has different tendency of learning, different preferences of learning. Some people are memory learners, some people learn by reason, some people visual learners, auditory learners. But we can now, by collecting a lot of data, provide different ways of learning to different individuals. So this is something that is happening on this field as well. Adaptive learning and game and social. And there's much more going on in this field. And it needs computer science skills. It needs artificial intelligence, machine learning, all those stuff. And we want you to be part of this and be innovative in this field, because there are so many things going on and we need more people. Okay, I don't have time now. So lastly, community is the very important part as well. So most important part of your college life is going to be able to interact with people, have different perspectives, and have different opinions from your friends. That's something that people thought would be quite difficult to achieve through the internet, but it's changing. It's now possible on the internet. You can interact with a lot of people on the same subject. So this is GitHub. I think most of you already have a GitHub account or Stack Overflow. So you can talk about the same topics from people from different countries, people from different regions online. And you can also use Google Hangout to feel as though you are in the same place. And also, international communities are now becoming more and more common. So this is our users from Indonesia and from Philippines interacting with each other, teaching each other from each other's perspective, and learning from different teachers from different countries. So international community, subject-based communities are taking form on the internet as well. So that's also very revolutionary. Okay, to sum up, there are 3 important trends in EdTech that I want you to take away from this presentation. One is access, infrastructure, and the content. And second is data for learning competency and ability to learn. And lastly, community. These 3 things are the most important things that are happening in the EdTech industry. And we are working very hard to make a dent on the education. There are going to be many disruptions to take hold in this EdTech area. But don't be scared. What we want to do is make people happy and have a smile like hers by providing the best education tool for as many students, as many teachers as possible on the planet. So let's work together to improve education. Okay, so that's about EdTech, and I'm going to just leave you with this message very quickly. So Quipper was founded on 3 elements. One is Masayuki Watanabe, who is the CEO of Quipper, who is a serial entrepreneur. He used to visit many refugee camps in African countries, and he was devastated by the fact that if you were born into a poor country, getting the best education was difficult, was impossible. But he realized that thanks to the growing prevalence of mobile technology, now anyone can access to the devices and content anywhere. So that's what made him make up his mind to start Quipper education company. And what he said to me still resonates in my heart. He said to me when I was not sure about my future career, he said to me, work on things that matter. I think this is very, very important. There are so many things that you can do with your IT skills, with your computer science skills. I want you to think and start working on things that matter, that are very important for you, that are very important for your community, that are very important for human beings. This is my message, and I'm going to just give you my personal experience. So as you know, in 2011, March 11, a huge earthquake hit Japan, and subsequent tsunami washed away my hometown, Minami Sanriku. So this is my house, which was completely washed away by tsunami. And this is not the end of the story. So next day, my grandfather was still missing. So this is my tweet from the day. My grandfather is still missing. If you have any information about the daycare facility that my grandfather was staying in, please get in touch with me. So I tweeted this, and then there are 40 retweets. Many people cared about my grandfather. And the next day, someone talked to me, someone completely unknown to me, spoke to me on Twitter and said, I'm going to that place. And I asked him, if you happen to go there, please look for my grandfather. And the next day, on day 3 after the tsunami, he tweeted to me, I found him, and let him know that you're looking for him. So this actually happened to me, and this made up my mind that the internet is actually going to change the world for the better. There are many things that you can do on the internet, but again, I want you to think about what you can do for yourself, for society, and then work on things that matter. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. Salamat po.